From the studio, we present to you wokeism, from social movement to technocratic control tool in a polarized world. Wokeism, a term that originally referred to social awareness and the fight against injustice, has evolved into a global phenomenon with profound cultural, economic, and political implications. However, what began as a legitimate effort to combat discrimination and inequality has been co-opted by technocratic and corporate interests, transforming into an instrument of social control and polarization. This video explores the origins of wokeism, its historical development, its connection to climate catastrophism, its impact on various spheres, and how the new right-wing and far-right governments are influencing its evolution. We argue that, far from achieving its original goals, wokeism has caused more harm than good, and its future will depend on the political and social dynamics in an increasingly divided world. Origins and historical development of wokeism. The term woke has its roots in the African American community in the United States, where it was used to describe awareness of racial injustice. However, its transformation into a global movement is linked to a series of social, political, and economic events and trends. Chronology of wokeism. 1960s to 1970s, the concept of being woke emerges in the context of the U.S. civil rights movement, associated with figures like Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. 2010s, the term woke resurfaces in the context of the Black Lives Matter (BLM) movement, which denounces police violence against the African American community. 2015 to 2020, wokeism expands beyond racial struggles, incorporating feminist, LGBTQ+, environmental, and broader social justice demands. 2020 onwards, the movement globalizes, influencing corporate, educational, and cultural policies worldwide. Think tanks and the manipulation of wokeism. Although wokeism originated from authentic social movements, its rapid expansion and adoption by corporations and governments suggest the influence of think tanks and technocratic elites. Organizations such as the World Economic Forum, WEF, and foundations linked to major tech companies have promoted woke narratives as part of broader social and economic control agendas. For instance, rhetoric around equity and inclusion has been used to justify policies that benefit elites, such as mass surveillance and the centralization of power. Connection to climate catastrophism. Wokeism and climate catastrophism share an apocalyptic outlook and a moral urgency narrative. Both movements have been instrumentalized to promote technocratic agendas, such as transitioning to green economies controlled by large corporations. The rhetoric of a looming end of the world has served to justify authoritarian measures and concentrate power in the hands of a few, under the guise of saving the planet. Wokeism in culture, inclusion, or censorship? Wokeism has profoundly impacted culture by promoting narratives of diversity and representation. Films, series, and advertising campaigns have adopted inclusive language, celebrating a plurality of identities. However, this apparent openness has been accompanied by increasing censorship and self-censorship. On the one hand, the movement has succeeded in making historically marginalized groups more visible and challenging harmful stereotypes. On the other, it has created a climate of intolerance toward dissenting opinions, where any deviation from woke orthodoxy is punished with cancellation. Media corporations have capitalized on wokeism as a marketing strategy while simultaneously silencing critical voices. Wokeism in the economy, equity or exploitation? In the economic sphere, wokeism has driven diversity and inclusion initiatives in the workplace. However, these measures often remain superficial, failing to address the root causes of inequality. Large corporations have embraced wokeism's language to improve their public image while continuing to exploit workers and evade taxes. The rhetoric of equity has even been used to justify layoffs and restructurings under the banner of social justice. This double standard reveals how wokeism has been co-opted by technocratic interests to consolidate economic power. Wokeism in feminism and social movements, unity or division? Wokeism has expanded feminism and other social movements by incorporating intersectional perspectives. However, it has also caused internal divisions and diverted attention from structural problems. While the movement has highlighted experiences of oppression, it has prioritized identity debates over collective struggles, fragmenting social movements. Additionally, cancel culture has created an atmosphere of fear and distrust, making dialogue and consensus building increasingly difficult. The impact of right-wing and far-right governments on wokeism. The rise of right-wing and far-right governments worldwide has created a counterbalance to wokeism, challenging its premises and limiting its influence on public and cultural policies. In the economic sphere, governments like Donald Trump's administration in the U.S. have promoted economic policies prioritizing business growth over social justice agendas. This has led to a realignment of major corporations such as BlackRock and Vanguard, which, despite initially adopting woke narratives, are now seeking to balance these stances with conservative government demands. In media and entertainment, the rise of right-wing governments has led to significant shifts in content moderation and censorship policies. Platforms like Facebook and X, formerly Twitter, have adjusted their guidelines, not only moving away from woke narratives but also becoming ideological battlegrounds under Elon Musk's leadership. In entertainment, companies like Disney have faced criticism from both progressive leftists and conservative right-wingers, forcing them to navigate the challenge of balancing inclusive representation with commercial profitability. In cultural politics, right-wing governments have promoted a narrative that critiques wokeism as a divisive and elitist ideology. This rhetoric has resonated with segments of the population who feel excluded or threatened by the movement's demands, further intensifying polarization. Social resistance and the future of wokeism. Despite opposition from conservative governments, wokeism remains a powerful force, particularly among organized groups defending causes such as LGBTQ+ rights, racial justice, and gender equality. Resistance groups. Activist organizations have intensified their efforts to safeguard recent progress. For instance, in the U.S., groups such as the American Civil Liberties Union, ACLU, and the Human Rights Campaign, HRC, have led campaigns against conservative laws and policies aimed at rolling back acquired rights. Short-term outlook. In the immediate future, wokeism is likely to maintain a significant presence, albeit more localized and less dominant in public discourse. Social resistance will continue to be a key factor, particularly in regions where conservative governments face internal opposition. Long-term outlook. As the political pendulum swings back toward the center or left, wokeism may regain some influence, albeit in a more nuanced and less polarizing form. The lessons learned during conservative rule could lead to a more pragmatic and less dogmatic approach. Conclusion. Wokeism, in its current form, has been hijacked by technocratic interests, straying from its original objectives. While it has made progress in social awareness and visibility, its overall impact has been more damaging than beneficial. By being instrumentalized by corporations and elites, it has contributed to polarization, censorship, and distraction from structural issues. To reclaim its transformative potential, wokeism must free itself from these influences and refocus on building a truly just and inclusive society. As always, we invite you to like, comment on, share, and subscribe to our channel, From the Studio, for more content for people like you.